Find employees who are earning more than their managers at your company and output the employee's first name along with their corresponding salary.
So with the data set of employees, I see that there's an ID corresponding to the employee, their salary, as well as their manager ID. So first, I want to create um, a data set with the employee's first name, salary, and their manager ID. And I want to join that on itself with a data set of basically the managers. So
Mhm.
I want to do the employee ID from the same data set, but now I want to call that the manager ID and their salary. And I want to join that on the first data set's employee ID, or sorry, first data set's manager ID, and have that be equal to the second data set's employee ID that has now been renamed as the manager ID.
Mhm.
So now this will take the first data set of employees and tack on the manager's salary um, everywhere where the manager ID corresponds with the employee ID. And I'm actually going to rename the salary as manager salary just to avoid any confusion when the two data sets merge.
Mhm.
So now I have a data set of all the employees and their corresponding manager salary. So now I can answer the question by just selecting the first data set's first name
Mhm.
and the corresponding manager salary from the second data set. And I only want cases where the employee salary is greater than the manager salary. So the where statement will then just limit the rows where that condition is true. And so
Got it.
this will, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And what would the output for this look like? Let's say you actually had a database of information. What would that output look like for us?
So it would just be two columns
Okay.
with just the first name of the employee and their manager's salary. So that's what the question asks, but you would probably want to include a little bit more information on like the employee, perhaps
Yeah,
their ID and first and last name. But since that was like the expected output, just those two variables are going to be output.
got it. Okay, sounds good. So I'm curious, why did you use this particular type of join?
Sure. So this data set for employees has one row per employee, and then presumably multiple rows will have the same manager ID because
Mhm.
there's multiple employees per manager. So it's important that this is going to be a many to one merge or
Mhm.
join. And in that case, we're ensuring that we still have every row for each employee, but then we're able to tack on with a unique data set for each of the manager's salaries. So in that case, we're not creating any duplicate rows, but
Yeah,
we're also able to preserve every row for every employee.
got it. Would you be able to write this query in a way where we're not joining these subqueries?
Sure. So one method you could use is using a CTE, common table expression. So basically just rewriting one of these subqueries as a common table expression. So moving the manager's one into moving that subquery into
Mhm.
this common table expression will let us actually use this subquery multiple times throughout our query in case we need to reference it again.
Mm.
So once we do that, we can just do the same basic query, salary from employees. Let's join on to managers. A dot type manager ID equals, and then with the same condition where the salary must be more than the manager's salary.
Mhm. Okay. So of these two approaches, which one would you think is more efficient and why?
So I think these are probably roughly the same. There's not a huge amount of efficiency gains
Mhm.
using the common table expression because we're not actually utilizing this subquery multiple times throughout the query.
Mhm.
Um, I do think you do gain some readability with the common table expression though, just because you are able to identify this upfront and you're not having to like really process what the manager's data set is doing as you are trying to read the query.
Mm,
So I think you gain more from a readability perspective more than an efficiency.
got it. Okay. There we have it. Thanks, Stephen. I'm curious. You mentioned at the beginning that you're a product manager, right? So how often in your job as a PM do you need to write these kinds of queries?
Currently, I don't use queries that often because we're more in like the strategy setting stage.
Yeah.
But we are about to launch one of my projects, and I kind of laid out the analytical plan for how we were going to be measuring success. So a
Hmm.
lot of that is going to be around, querying the data, making sure that we analyze to see that the project is, providing incremental value to the business.
Hmm.
So I do have a lot of planned queries that I will be running once my project does launch.
Got it. Okay. Sounds good. And did you learn to basically write SQL queries for your job, or is this something that predates you becoming a PM?
Yeah, so I was a math major in college.
Hmm.
Surprisingly, didn't learn any computer science or statistics actually, but then just kind of by being in analytics roles for about 8 years, picked it up along the job. Picked up SAS first, and then
Mm,
started getting more SQL. And then, especially when I was at Facebook, did a ton of SQL there as a data scientist.
got it.
So it's more of a tool I can use now as a product manager and like the understanding of the data and what you can do with it more than like the day-to-day role that and work that I do now.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, it's really interesting to me to see just, I mean, the PM role is a pretty varied one. There's
Mhm.
at different companies, you have different ways that the PM role manifests. So I feel like knowing how to do database management and SQL queries, it seems like an asset rather than like a requirement for the role, but it sounds like it's really helping you in your current role right now.
Yeah, I think more so on like the understanding of the data and like what you
Mm,
can do with it and like
yeah.
under the understanding the capabilities let you then kind of strategize around what you can do for the business itself.
Yeah.
And I totally agree that like the PM role varies a lot, especially now that I'm like not in like tech itself.
Yeah.
I work on like tech projects, but the definition of product manager, in this case, the product is a financial product.
Mm,
So it's like a little bit different than your traditional, or I guess traditional in like the SF sense of a product
yeah.
manager. Um, but I think it definitely like manifests itself in different ways, and especially depending on the project.
Yeah, got it. Thank you so much, Stephen. Really appreciate your time, and I hope this is valuable for everyone watching at home. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below to let us know that this video is valuable for you. And of course, check out hundreds more videos just like this at tryexponent.com. Thanks for watching and good luck on your upcoming interview.